"I got a dozen guys here," Masterson said. "We add your platoon, we can sweep this field in an hour." He pointed to a road on the map, a black worm at the end of the field's shaded gray. "Then we'll have the Bradleys pick us up and take us home." "That's on the opposite side of the field," Fowler said. "That's right." She understood what he was asking then. With the 12 men he'd brought, Masterson would have to go down one side of the field and then come back up the other in order to cover the entire area. But if Fowler added her guys to the mix, they might sweep it in a single pass. "I can go," she said. "But I've got those cameras we talked about with me, plus a signal officer." She avoided Pulowski's name, bending her tone to suggest that this being was far beneath Masterson's attention. "You don't want him out there, and if he stays, I need my team in here for security." "Who is this guy? Somebody's brother?" Masterson was fitting his body armor back on. When Fowler didn't respond, he sighed. "All right, have it your way, Lieutenant. We do these cache searches every day. We gotta stay out an extra couple hours, so be it. Why don't you have your signal guy put a camera up while we're working at least?" Harris was her real brother's name. She thought about him as she and Pulowski crow-hopped the tubs of camera gear into the target's empty house. Harris in his yellow tie and moleskin coat, his lower lip poked out, concentrating. The last time they'd met before she deployed at an actual skating rink with actual pastel skaters painted on the boards, a memory no more or less incongruous than the hocus-pocus things that Harris had actually said. "Let somebody else worry about what's supposed to be true. That way you can figure out what you really believe." Now with Pulowski above her, sweating and sharp-edged as usual, wiping his beaked nose as they heaved the last tub up a ladder to the roof, she would have said that it had never been about what she believed. She'd only wanted to believe with someone else. That was the bueno in the Humvee, and that was what it felt like now, as she and Pulowski scuttled together to the roof's edge, his face smeared with 2 days' growth of beard, but open to her again, seeing her. Like the last piece to a puzzle she'd been struggling her whole life to complete. From there they could see the toy-like humped bridge that marked the midpoint of Route Valentine, the distant railroad tracks, the tawny rough edges of the canals, their silent banks of reeds. The field behind the house appeared to be several acres square, roughly the size of a section back in Kansas. The palm forest loomed on either side, and a mix of darker orange-tinted wheat stalks, and the paper-white clumps of plain grass ran away from them, slightly downhill in a rolling series of bumps. Beale was there. This did not make the field feel ominous, not in the way that an empty alley in Muthana might. She heard the high, dry hum of grasshoppers, the almost comic, given the usual tension of their patrols, desolation of the place. But she felt the strange, giddy lightness you sometimes got when you pulled off the interstate after a long drive, piled out of the car, and squatted behind a tree to pee. Amazement at the stillness going on here, the stubborn persistence of life always continuing, away from the rush of things. "Man, it was like some kind of ghost town coming in here. You want to talk depopulation?" Pulowski snapped a picture of the field. "It's like the Iraqi version of Kansas. Maybe we should just evac whoever's left to Salina, give them a chicken farm, and call it good. Holy shit, what's this?" Pulowski wandered over to a weirdly shaped object in the center of the flat roof. His neck was so skinny up above his collar that his helmet resembled a tapered mushroom cap, and his white hips flashed between his belt and body armor. "You clear that?" she asked one of Masterson's men as Pulowski poked his head inside. "Yeah, we went through everything." "It's a fucking spaceship," Pulowski called excitedly. "What do you mean, a spaceship?" "I mean, like some guy built a spaceship here, you know, like to play in. It's kind of weird, right?" Pulowski had clambered inside the structure, which looked more like a vegetable steamer with its metal panels folded in. "Probably a lookout post is what it seems to me," Fowler said. She waded through a fussy, rustling silence, which was the sound of Pulowski worrying. "So what are we looking for here?" he said, climbing out. Fowler hunkered down along the edge of the roof. "The note you gave me," she said. "It was good. We think the guy who wrote it also took Beale. This is his house. Beale's body is supposed to be out back." "Why didn't you say that before we left?" She'd expected this question. She decided that if she couldn't explain what she'd done to get this information from Masterson's interpreter, Faisal Amar, then she should ditch the whole scheme. "I had to push the envelope a little. Captain Hartz wouldn't have understood, and even if he had, he wouldn't have let me come out here." "Push the envelope?"